All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're tackling a really critical principle of international law. It's a heavy topic, for sure, but an absolutely essential one. There is no excuse for genocide. Period.
So let's start with a question that really cuts to the chase. You hear it all the time, right? A nation's right to self-defense. But does that mean a country can do, well, anything to defend itself? Is that right totally unlimited? According to international law, the answer is a very clear and resounding no.
And to really understand why that is, we first have to look at where this right to self-defense even comes from. It's a real, recognized, and honestly a super important right for any country.
See, this isn't just some vague concept. It's spelled out, right there in black and white in Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. It gives states a legal framework to fight back when attacked and protect their people. But, and this is the most important but, it was never, ever intended to be an unlimited power.
And that brings us to the core of the issue. A great way to think about it is this: self-defense is not a blank check. A country can't just fill in whatever action it wants and claim it's all justified. This right comes with some very strict, non-negotiable strings attached.
So what are those strings? What are those limits? Well, the law is actually incredibly clear that this right to defend has to operate inside a carefully built set of boundaries. And those boundaries are there for a reason: to prevent abuse and to protect human life. Basically, any act of self-defense has to pass three crucial tests. First, is it necessary? Like, is this action really required to stop the attack? Second, is it proportional? Is the response measured, or is it way over the top? And third, distinction. Is the force being used able to tell the difference between soldiers and civilians? If you fail even one of these, what you're doing is no longer considered lawful self-defense.
Okay, so now let's pivot. Let's talk about a type of crime that international law puts into a completely separate category. I mean, it's in a league of its own, way beyond any other act of war.
The single most important word on this slide is intent. See, genocide isn't just about how many people die. It's about the specific, provable intention to wipe out a particular group of people. That's what sets it apart from every other crime.
In this quote from the Tribunal for the Rwandan Genocide just says it all. It is called the crime of crimes because it's not just an attack on the victims. It's seen as an attack on all of humanity. It just carries this legal and moral weight that is completely unparalleled.
So what happens when a country's claim of self-defense smacks right up against this absolute, total ban on genocide? Well, the law draws a very, very clear line in the sand, an uncrossable red line.
I mean, just look at them side by side. The difference is night and day. Self-defense is about repelling an attack. Genocide is about destroying a group. Self-defense targets military assets. Genocide targets civilians, whole communities. Legally, one is limited and has to be proportional, while the other is just absolutely 100% forbidden. They're basically polar opposites.
And that's really the bottom line here. You just can't use the logic of self-defense to justify an act of genocide. They are, at their very core, fundamentally incompatible. One can never, ever be an excuse for the other. So, you might be wondering, why is this rule so absolute? Why aren't there any loopholes or what-if scenarios? No exceptions at all?
The answer is in this special legal concept called jus cogens. Now, it sounds a little fancy, but the idea is pretty simple. It means there are certain principles in international law that are so fundamental, so important to everyone, that they override everything else. No country can ignore them. They are non-negotiable.
And the ban on genocide is one of those rules. It's absolute. You can't get out of it. It can't be suspended, not even in a time of war or a national emergency. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Even a massive security threat can't be used to justify it. This rule simply overrides everything else.
So, this is it. This is the unyielding red line that the world drew after the absolute horrors of the 20th century. It's a line that says, no matter what, no matter the conflict, no matter the excuse, this is a boundary that can never, ever be crossed.
And that leaves us with a pretty urgent question for today, doesn't it? The law is crystal clear. The principle is absolute. But in our world, with conflicts on the rise, what does it actually take to defend this red line? For nations, for institutions, for all of us, that's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.